Hello and welcome to part 3 of my tutorial on how to make a browser game. This episode we will talk about PHP. We'll go over the basics and see if we can put it to use. So, we are kicking off right where we left off. We will do so by just creating a new PHP file. And let's just call it PHP test. So, PHP test.php. So these are PHP tags. Everything in between here will is PHP code that will be run on the server side. PHP only runs server side, so if you are the computer visiting the page, you don't actually know what the code is inside here. So for example, if we write echo hello, what echo means is print this to the screen. So now we're going to print the word hello to the screen. In PHP, all commands ends with a semicolon. So remember to write that. So if we go to this page, which we called PHP test, we'll see hello. If we don't write anything at all, just like this, we will not see anything at all. So in PHP, or all programming languages, there are a few things you should always know, which is how variable works and how arrays work. So this is a variable. Let's make a variable. Let's call it variable. And let's put the word hello inside it. So what a variable is, it's pretty much, imagine it as an empty box. So this is an empty box. If we just do that, that's an empty box. If we then decide to put something in the variable, like hello, now this variable contains the word hello. So if we run this page, nothing will happen. Because as I said, this is run server side, so the server will know that the variable called variable will have the word hello in it. So just like we did before, instead of typing echo hello world, echo hello, we can just echo variable. So just like that, and we will get the word hello. So you can rewrite, we can change this so that variable all of a sudden is world, and we can echo variable. If we echo that, we will get hello world, because the meaning of or the contents of variable is world when we get to this line down here. So we can also, instead of doing this, we can add stuff to it. We can remove that. So variable hello, and we can add a string like world. Now if we echo out the variable, it will still say whatever the contents of the variable is, and that will be hello plus world. We actually got a 0. That's my bad, sorry about that. When you add numbers, this operator plus equals will work perfectly. If you're adding strings, strings as in text, then you need to use the dot equal operator. So if we save that and we run that again, we will get hello world. So if we would use numbers instead, if we have 5 up here and we have 6 down here, then plus equals would give us the result that we want, 11. So that's a variable, nice and simple. So an array is it's like a list of variables. Let's make an array. which is called array. And this array will contain the numbers 5, 9, and 11, and maybe the world. Let's call it the world, and let's call it hello. So now we have an array with a total of 5 elements. We have the number 5, 9, 11, the world, the string world, and the string hello. So how do we now access these? If we would, let's try to just echo out one of them. If we type echo array, we are going to get an error like this. Array to string conversion. That's because we need to say which one of the elements we want to echo out. So for example, if we would want to echo out world, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th element, then we would write 3. Because the first element is 0, the second one is 1, and the third one is 2, and so on. So if we just echo out array and the third part, and we update that, we will get world. So easy like that. So the good thing with the arrays is, like, for example, think of let's imagine you have a game, and you have your name. Like Rika. You have your level, which is maybe 11. You have your, I don't know, army strength of 241, something like that. Like whenever, if you were to, I mean, this is quite annoying because this is 3 variables, and if you have a multiplayer game, you will have the same variables for a different player, and the same variable for a third player, and things like that. So instead, what you could do is just have an array where we have the name Rika, we have the level 11, and the armor strength of 241. And then we can just echo out something like your name is array 0, which is Rika. And let's add some BRs. So the dot will add strings together. Strings or numbers, it's fine. So your name is, and the echo ends here. So you need a dot to say that we are going to continue. We put in an array, or we put in a part of an array, so a variable in that array. And then we also end with a line break. Echo your level is, so same thing here, array 1. And echo your, what did we call that? Army strength is array 2. Oh, I missed that. All right, so with that, let's try to run this and see what happens. Your name is Rika, your level is 11, your army strength is 241. That's pretty good army strength. So these we don't need to type these in manually as well. You can use variables here. So if we would type in the name there, we would take the level, and we would take the army strength, and this will get the exact same results. So this is a bit messy because, I mean, if you, whoops, sorry about that, I removed too much. Let's keep it like this. If you just have these values, then you don't really know. You always need to know that the first element, which is the array 0, is your name. The second one is your level. Third one is your army strength. So what you can do instead is to have a associative array, which is pretty much a named array. So let's try it out. Let's say array, and instead of just writing the variable here, we will say name, and the name will be our name. Level will be our level, and the army strength will be our army strength. And now, instead of echoing out the numbers here, we can just write that we will echo out the name, and that we will echo out the level, and finally the army strength, like so. So if you run that, exact same result. The big difference with this is that if, say for some reason, we would switch places. Oops. We would switch places, so it's like this. If we used a numbered array, this would no longer work, because we would say your level is, and the second element, which is army strength. But since we used a named one, even if we have them in a different order, we still get the exact same results. So next we are going to use something called an if statement. So it works like this. We say if, and then we make a statement. And if this statement is true, do something. So here we can say if array name is equal to Rika, then we can just print out your name is awesome. And we can have an else statement, which means if this if statement is false, then you should switch your name to Rika, or something like that. So let's try to run this, and we will update. Your name is awesome. Great. So if we change our name, Rico, like so, and we run this, you should switch your name to Rika. Will do. There is also an else if statement. So we can say if array name equals Rico, then something should happen. Echo your name is decent. Not decent. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So if we run this, my name is still awesome because we switched it to Rika. If we switch it to Rick, then you should switch your name. If we switch to Rico, it will get hit by. It will be this one will run, and your name is pretty good. So we can also have multiple conditions inside of these. So we can have, for example, so we can have an AND statement, which is, let me just type this and I will explain it. And the level is greater than 5. So what this is saying is if your name is Rico and your level is greater than 5, that means your name is pretty good. It doesn't make much sense that we would say this, but it doesn't matter. The principle is the same. So this is an AND. That means both of these have to be true for this to work. Oops. Let's put in another one. If you're actually, let's just put in a new one. Echo BR. Let's just make a break, and we can say if array level is greater than 5, or two horizontal vertical lines like these means this means or your army strength is greater than 300, then we can just echo something. you are gonna win this. So here we don't have an else statement. That means if this fails, nothing is gonna happen. It's just gonna continue executing the code. So let's see if it works. You are gonna win this. And why does it work? Because our level is 11. Our army strength is lower than 300, but that's fine because we are using a OR operator. So if one of them is true, and you can use multiple of these, you can put in a different one over there. So if we decrease our level to 4, it is going to say nothing. And just for effect, we can just add something like you suck. Oh. So the last thing I want to explain is let's explain a for loop as well. Let's make a new array. And I'm using the name array all of the time. So whenever I write this again with just one equal sign, that means I'm replacing the old one. So if I write something like this, if I write this, that means I can no longer use array level, array army strength, or array anything. But for this, that's fine. Let's just add a couple of semi-random numbers like that. So what we can do here is let's make a for loop, and I will explain this in a minute. Let's go like that, and I plus this. So what we are doing here, okay, let's make an if statement here as well. Maybe 10. So this might look a bit complex, but it's not. You will get it, don't worry. So the for loop, it has 3 arguments. The first one is this, the second one is this, and the third one is this. So here we are setting the counter to 0. We can use any name here we want, but generally you use I as this index. So we are going to go through all of these one by one and do something with the numbers. So it makes sense to use the index I, but you can call it anything you want. So the second one tells us for until when should we do this. So we say you're going to do this if the I variable is smaller than the amount of variables in the array. So that means we're going to do this once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And every time after we have done this, what should we do? We should increase I by 1. So if you write plus plus, that means add 1. But here we could also write plus equals 1. Or we could say I equals I plus 1. They all work, but that one is the shortest. So what we are saying inside the loop, this is called a loop, a for loop, is saying if array and the I, so for the first time this will run, we will look at the first element. If it's bigger than 10, echo the value. So just write out that value. And let's add a BR as well to see. We can just write is bigger than 10. So just like that. And when this is finished, it will go back up here to the for loop, and it will add 1 to the I. So the next time this runs, it will have a 1. Then it will have a 2. All the way until this number is bigger than the count, how many elements are in the array. So how many variables are in the array. So if we run this, then hang on, let's just add a echo here. I'm sorry, I did that off screen. I just added a echo down here. So if we run this, it will say 11 is bigger than 10, 41 is bigger than 10, 25 is bigger than 10, 38 is bigger than 10. If we would reverse it like so, and we would save it and we would run that, 2 is bigger than 10, 3 is bigger than 10. Of course it isn't bigger, but that's because we didn't change this text. We should say is lower. There we go. So I think that's the basics of, yeah, a few basic things like variables, arrays, and a simple for loop, some if statements. With this, you should be able to get pretty far. So another thing we're going to do before we quit is to do some actual work on our website. We're just going to clean it up a bit, a very small bit. I'm going to take all this code in the head, because this is code that we are going to use on every single page that we go to. The title is still always going to be there. The style sheet is always going to be there. There's no point in not always having this. There's no point to write that in manually on every single page. So before then, let's just create a folder. I like to keep it a bit neat. We'll create a folder we call design. In here we can create a different folder we called CSS. We can move our CSS file down there. We can create another one. Let's call it templates. Yeah, templates. That's fine. And let's expand those. And templates, let's call a PHP file. Let's make it. Let's call it head.php. And we'll just take all of this and move it inside here, like so. And in our index file, we will just use the PHP function called include. Oh, sorry, you need to open the PHP tags, of course. So we'll say include. What do we want to include? We want to include the head page, which is in design, templates, and it's called head.php. So that means that since this will be a run on the server side, what we as the client will see is not this code, but this code. This is what we will see in there. This doesn't save that much space, at least not right now. Doesn't save much space, doesn't save much much typing. But I mean, this file could become quite large, and it's annoying to have to copy it to every single page you want to get to. So let's see if this works. Let's go back to our index.php file. So this only kind of works, because if we inspect this, you will see that we have the head file. So we have the head, we have the link, we have the title, but we don't have the CSS file. And that is because we are looking in the wrong place. Because we just moved our CSS file, so we need to go to the head file. And you can see that we are just looking for default.css. Now, you would imagine that to find the default CSS file, we would need to go up one step into the CSS folder and get the default. But that's not how it works, because we are just getting this page from the index. So because we are including this file, we actually need to start from the index and move down. So from the index, we need to go to design, CSS, and then default. So here all we need to do is type in design, CSS, defaults. And we try to run that again, and we have our terrible design. All right, so that's it for the PHP part. In the next video, we will start to do some design with HTML and CSS to get it to look like a real website, pretty much. So I'm just gonna let's just make a folder with old code. And just put the PHP test in there, because you never know. I don't think we are gonna use this for something, but I tend that just for this video tutorial, it might be good to have, so we can go back and look at things. So I'm just gonna leave it there. And with this, we are done for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, take care.